In terms of the initiative, what the president's going to do here in a few moments is sign an executive order, and that executive order is going to create what they call an interagency council in the administration that's going to focus on these issues of the workforce of the future. Part of the concern here is that technology changing, robots coming into the workforce, all the different ways the economy is changing, displace existing workers, and companies are having a hard time finding enough workers because the unemployment rate has come down so far. So this is all about retraining and retooling the workforce to get them ahead of schedule for the jobs of the future. And you're going to see the president also asking those CEOs he was just talking about in the room there to sign a pledge to the American worker. The White House says they're going to get about 500,000 new opportunities for workers, not necessarily new jobs for workers out of this, but what they're calling new opportunities. That is retraining opportunities for people who've been displaced, or abilities to get their skills into another field entirely. So all of that very much a focus of Ivanka Trump, as you mentioned. She introduced the president just before he spoke there. But the big news out of the White House today in terms of the economy is the president's interview earlier today with Joe Kernan of CNBC. The president had some thoughts on the Federal Reserve and their raising of interest rates. Here's what he said.
I put a very good man in the Fed. I don't necessarily agree with it because he's raising interest rates. I'm not saying that I agree with it, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I must tell you, I don't. I'm not thrilled because, you know, we go up, and every time you go up, they want to raise rates again. And I don't really, I am not happy about it. But at the same time, I'm letting them do what they feel is best. But I don't like all of this work that goes into doing what we're doing. You look at the euro, you look at what's going on with the EU, and they're not doing what we're doing, and we already have somewhat of a disadvantage, although I'm turning that into an advantage. You know, last year and for years, we've been losing $150 billion with the EU nations, with the European Union. And they're making money easy, and their currency is falling. And China, their currency is dropping like a rock, and our currency is going up. And I have to tell you, it puts us at a disadvantage. Now, I'm just saying the same thing that I would have said as a private citizen. So somebody would say, oh, maybe you shouldn't say that as a president. I couldn't care less what they say, because my views haven't changed. I don't like all of this work that we're putting into the economy, and then I see rates going up. I see China where they're, I mean, look at what's happening with their currency. It's dropping like a rock.
So the president there expressing some extreme frustration with the Fed. He said he feels like he's putting in a lot of effort on the economy, and then he sees the Fed raising rates. He feels that's frustrating to him. But he also says in that same soundbite that he's going to let the Fed do what it feels is appropriate to do here, and he's got confidence in the Fed chair, Jerome Powell. So that comment attracted a lot of attention immediately after it first played on CNBC this afternoon. And the reason is because there's a tradition of Fed independence. The president typically does not comment on the Fed. There have been instances in the past, of course, where presidents have been extremely frustrated with the Fed time and again. But generally speaking, presidents don't speak this way about the Fed. So this president taking a different tack, saying, I couldn't care less about the critics who say you shouldn't say these things. After that reaction, the White House put out an additional statement saying that the president, of course, supports the independence of the Fed. He was just reiterating here, they say, his long-standing views, things he said before he was running for president and after he was on the campaign trail. So the White House saying here that the president respects the independence of the Fed, guys.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.